Welcome back to the Domino Effect, everybody.
We're back. Had a
We
normal
back.
time period. That's
Yep,
crazy.
yep. Crazy. Hey, Xen.
Hello, Sami.
That's us. And who do we have with us?
All right.
What's good,
Hey, it's Roonie.
Yeah. Glad to be here. Glad to finally be participating and adding my part to the chaos that happens here. Been listening since the beginning and happy to just participate now.
Perfecto. So, I'm very happy to have you here, Roonie.
Very happy to be here.
Hey, Xen, what's today's topic?
Our topic today is culture.
Perfect. Yeah, and
one of my favorite subjects.
Yes, it is one of Rooney's favorite subjects, which is why I figured it'd be a good topic for us, especially because she is international.
Yeah.
Oh fuck! Let me shit.
Oh no.
Let me bring up my 23andMe real quick.
Oh dang!
Because I know that's gonna be a part of this conversation.
Gotta get it out.
It can be. I don't actually I don't really have like an exact. I know a lot of where I'm from.
Do your fucking spit test, and maybe you'll find out.
Well, here's the thing though, it's hard to get kits right now.
Well.
And because with COVID and everything, they don't want.
Corona.
Yeah. So.
Gotta be careful with that DNA, that spit test. Can't be just spitting no random places.
Damn, I did my spit test at the perfect time. That's
you really
crazy.
did though. You really did. So, Roonie.
Oh shit.
Yes, Sami.
Where are you from, ma'am?
I am from Angola, a country right under the equator in the motherland Africa, the continental birthplace of humanity.
Jesus.
At least that's what I like to think and call it.
Honestly, it's facts at this point.
I mean, they say that it was like Africa, like Middle East, because it was lower in Pangea time, so like it's like in that area. I think that too, though. Like it's just, I feel like the pigment of skin color just happened because of evolution.
Because people needed to adapt, and
yeah, exactly. That's it.
Melanin
we were all
is
black at one point.
Yeah, melanin is better for sun. Whiter skin tends to be better for cold, so that's just how shit evolved.
Exactly.
But surprisingly, I still like the cold more than the heat.
Same. Like, I'm always cold in the cold, obviously, because I just am.
Because it's fucking cold outside.
Right. but I definitely prefer cold over which is funny because I grew up in the South, but Roonie, you were right under the equator.
Yeah, no, hearing y'all talk about your goodness with cold is making me fucking shiver. Like, I feel the underneath of my skin just girl, do not even get anywhere that's cold.
Have you
messed up considering I'm in Europe right now. Yeah, no, I used to. Here's the thing. So,
I know you lived in New York. I just didn't know how long in seasons, Yeah,
3 years, basically. So, I was when I was a kid, I lived in New York with my mother for 3 years, and then I moved back to Angola and continued my living on and back home. And then for my last 2 years of high school, I decided, hey, let me just move back to New York because why not, And it was great, except for winter. That was some bullshit.
There it is.
I am African. I'm not supposed to be cold. I'm just saying, it's not in me. I got used to it, of course. You eventually learn how to layer. That first year was yikes, but the second year definitely got better at it. And I don't mind.
Layers matter.
Layers matter. Yes, they fucking do.
And a big ass coat over all 18 layers also matters.
Especially in New York cold. Especially in New York cold.
Well, the Midwest was where I had my first white Christmas, actually.
The Midwest?
It was in New York?
Mm-hmm. No, it was in the Midwest. I do want to go to New York, though, for Christmas. That is one of my life goals. I don't care how old I am, but I want to see that stupid tree from Home Alone get lit up on Christmas. Like I want to do those things. Like I just feel like Christmas in New York is a magical, wonderful, amazing thing. And like even though like I'm such a Disney nerd, like I don't know, man, being hot when it's Christmas just I don't know. That feels like a sin.
I want to go to
To you,
Australia for
to
Christmas. Fuck
me,
it.
that just sounds like I'm home. Because usually at that point,
Yeah.
I'm already back home. And considering the differences from the northern and southern hemisphere, it's hot during Christmas. So to me, it's normal for at Christmas time. My ass is going to be outside in a tank top and some booty shorts, walking around, sweating my ass off. And like New Year's is definitely somewhere on the beach. Like Angolans love to get down, and best time of the year for us is definitely the end of the year. So that's when everybody that's international comes back home. All of us see our families and our friends that we've known since we were kids, and we party like all hell because that's just the Angolan way to do New Year's. You're not doing New Year's right unless you are going out either with family or with friends and just having a ball at night. And also probably getting drunk.
Sounds pretty fucking nice. I have a question though.
Yeah.
Do Angolans celebrate Christmas?
Yes, we do. We're basically pretty Christian heavy still, and if not only for that, for the simple fact of like, just westernization and all that. So, yeah, Christmas is a thing. It's pretty much also a big deal. Not necessarily for the whole presents things, but like I said, like just the act of being with your family. It's a very family heavy holiday, which it also is in the West, but I think like there's some liberations in the sense of like, oh yeah, you can technically spend it with your friends or maybe with some neighbors or whatever. Like whoever is closest to you doesn't necessarily have to be your family. But in Angola, it's family. Like it's basically family. You were expected to stay with your family, and like things are changing, and like people go back and forth. Some people bring like maybe their girlfriends or their boyfriends over to the parents' place, like as a way of introducing them. Not usually a thing that happens, but some people do it. Some people depending on how close the friends are as well. If they've been friends for like a seriously long time, then it's basically like you're part of the family. Like the whole family probably knows you at that point. So it's very family centric, especially since a lot of our families are huge.
Gotcha.
This makes sense.
Are you Catholic, or because I know some, when colonization happened, a lot of African countries were indoctrinated into Christianity at some points, or even like Catholicism, excuse me. Was that kind of an influence as well, or is it just really mostly like the Western Christianity type thing?
Yeah, I would say it's mostly like a Western Christianity kind of thing. I mean, there's also a good amount of Muslims.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was gonna ask that next if there were or not.
Yeah, no, we do have a good amount of Muslims around, and there's also an Asian community, mostly Chinese community, maybe some of them Buddhist. But we
didn't know
in terms of Christianity, it's pretty mixed as well. Like, so even though we have a good amount of Catholics, they're not like maybe the most prominent Christians.
Okay.
Like, what is it? I would call it the Universal Church, but those are probably the best way I can explain. Maybe Protestant. So yeah,
that'd probably or non-denominational.
So those are usually the ones that mix around, and like it's usually because of like that kind of Christian basically environment, because Christianity is the most dominant. But besides that, I think it's just mostly also the westernization that basically happened in the continent. Since we're kind of used to the tradition of that, we've basically just made it a staple of like, oh, Angolan Christmas is everybody that you need to see family wise that you haven't seen maybe the whole year, or that you see maybe that might even be like a really close by to you, like, or neighboring, like that auntie from far away that's a neighbor, like they'll come, like the whole place will be stacked, everyone gets together, lots of food, just like it's basically I would compare it as basically American Thanksgiving, like the importance of being around family.
That's what I was about to say. That's what it sounds like. It's more of like a Thanksgiving rather than like a Christmas, like how we would think of it, at least. Like
exactly.
as Westerners.
The pressure of it is more like Thanksgiving than it would be necessarily Christmas, because I feel like Christmas you can get away with a lot of shit, like I said before. Like a lot of people, it's mostly about who you're closest to, and you can do it or you cannot do it depending on like what your religion is. But like in Angola, Christmas, religion aside, whatever, like that's more of a religious situation that you can decide with like your family, but it's more about the whole tradition of the family coming together. That's the important part.
I think that's so wonderful though. I think that's like so lovely. I know a couple of other like Asian countries, while they still like I know like in Japan, like even though they've also been like kind of westernized and have like Christianity there, and they do like celebrate Christmas, like that is a holiday that they do celebrate. They still have a lot of like shrines up, and like people kind of, I don't want to say like mixed religion, but just kind of like have a little bit of like a different way of, it's more of like the traditional aspect of like, you know, how they would go to like shrines and things like of that nature. I mean, I'm sure there's still people that, you know, who do go to those shrines, like do believe in that belief system or religion or however they wish to dictate it. You know, I'm not them. I don't want to, you know, um infer something that I, you know, don't exactly know about. But I know, but just like, you know, like I've seen like pictures and just like the temples there are beautiful. But they do have a strong like Christian community as well. So it's just like I think like you said, it's just been adopted. Something I also noticed that one of another guest also, Abu Kitty, you guys don't call Africa Africa, it's, you say the continent.
Yeah, we
like
say the
people
continent.
who are from Africa say the continent, whereas like I feel like people here, and you know, me and Zen are from the US, are in the US now.
Nah, bro,
They
I'm
say
gonna
Africa.
start calling that shit the continent.
I mean, you're Nigerian. You're really predominantly Nigerian, aren't you? Right?
I actually just checked my shit and it updated. I'm now 45% Nigerian.
I was gonna say you're like half. Yeah.
Hey, welcome to the motherland.
Welcome to the motherland.
Me and Zen really want to take a trip there to Nigeria. I've all, you know, it's
visit. If you
I've
okay,
always
if you
wanted to go to Nigeria. Fun fact.
Wait, what? Sorry?
I've always wanted to go to Nigeria because I had a lot of people from Nigeria come to my church. Freaking the best food, bro. Like, oh, they would have like dinners on like Friday nights, and we as like, because we were a really small youth group and really small church, and the Nigerians, like they would have like, they would set up like their cultural like drums, and like they would dress. It was so much fun, and they would bring like all this food, and like, and then one of the women there, her husband is was like a government worker or something. I honestly can't remember. But he brought her over, and she was pregnant, and then she had her baby. Like we got to see like the little baby. It was so much fun. And like they did like a whole ceremony. It was so beautiful. But because of that, I've always wanted to go to Nigeria because some of the best people I've met, like so kind, so like just open and like welcoming, and like they would teach us like all about the culture, and like it was just like a fun time. It was so much fun.
As far as I can tell, in terms of like other Africans that I've met outside of basically Angola, like in terms of like just the diaspora in general, the African diaspora, like all the countries and stuff like that, like my Nigerian friends, definitely one of the most, I will say right now, you can catch these hands and fight me about it later if y'all want. That might get offended from what I'm about to say. They are one of the most extra fucking countries I have of people I've ever fucking met, and I need a clap on it because it's so true. They're very warm. They're great people. Definitely a great people to like have a laugh with, and like they definitely exemplify that whole like I think it's the whole like African welcomingness. Like the thing that they do, like African hospitality, they're definitely one of the people that like bring that out and like make sure that people see that like of you just being integrated and learning, and like are very eager to share and stuff like that. They're definitely one of the major people like or like nationalities of people that I think show a very great light, and like one of the first countries that a lot of people recognize to be like, oh yeah, no, this is African dominance, excellence, brilliance, and all that. And give it to them. I really will. Like their music be fire, like bro.
Their music be fire.
They are extra sometimes. They really just be extra. And it's something that you either love or hate. I personally love it, you know? And I feel like more people definitely should. So it was great to hear that you definitely had that experience and like feel that positivity. Because one thing that I know for sure, it's that a lot of I think like to go back to the thing that you said that like we refer to it as the continent is because it's that whole thing. A lot of people say Africa as if it's a fucking country, and it's like, oh yeah, no, here's my friend. Like even sometimes with friends that I just like meet or something like that. Like the first few years, especially like as a kid, the first time around when I was in the States, they were asking me, oh, do you ride on lions? I was like, oh, do you live in a hut? Do you have to swing in the tree with the monkeys? Like all that. I was like, are you serious? Like even as a 6-year-old, I was like, this is so stupid. How the heck do you think I came to this damn country if I live in a hut and like was swinging on a tree and ride a lion? Like,
and
okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, I definitely.
Right,
do you take
part,
your lions to school? Yeah, no, I definitely do.
That last part, you know what? Lie a little bit.
Lie a little bit. I literally was about to be like, you know what though? That's one lie that's okay to lie about. Yeah. No, I actually had a couple girls
just because of it. Just because it's just too hilarious that somebody might actually be imagining us riding a lion to school.
There's a girl that I knew, and she was from, oh gosh, it was an Western African country, but it was like one of the smaller ones, and she was telling us about her life there, and we're like, oh, so it's basically just like here. She's like, yeah. And and like she's like not all of Africa is like what you think that it is. She's like, they really dramatize it, and she's like, and half those people that live in like those villages and stuff, she's like, usually it's like because of either they choose to do so because they want to keep the tribal like heritage alive, which like kudos, man, like live how you wish to live, like that's like that's beautiful to me, like that's so wonderful. But she's like, but half of them, she's like, they might like vacation there. And I was like, what? I was like, what? Because I was really little, so like I didn't understand. And she's like, yeah, she's like, we live in like normal houses just like here, and like she's like, yeah, there's like, she's like, we do have a bigger slum than probably like America does, which fun fact, guys, we do have slums here. Like it's not just like in, a lot of people will bring up like Brazil or India. No.
Favelas,
yeah, like we have them here too. Like it's not just, those countries that you might, think of. So yeah, like she's like, yeah, like it's normal. She's like the food's better. That's like she'd always say that. But no, it was just like I grew up around like actual like people from the continent, and it was cool. Like it was a really cool experience, and I'm really lucky in the fact that like even though like I'm not international like you are, Roonie, I did get to experience a lot of different cultures growing up because I just grew up in a very diverse area, and it was really cool to like experience that as like a very young child.
That's honestly great. Like not a lot of people, as far as I could tell from the years that I've basically been in America, not a lot of people can have that much exposure to like fully recognize that, like in the way that like even though like they'll hear somebody talking about it, they still somehow like will recognize African countries as like something still somehow different, or so they're either expecting like poverty porn or they're expecting Wakanda at this point. But like
what?
No, it's not like that. It's like any other country. There's ups, there's downs, there's great things about the culture that you want to see. There's shitty things probably about the culture that you might not want to see. And I feel like that's just everywhere in the world. Every country just has their pros and their cons, and you don't fully understand that unless you're exposed to somebody that's from there and has lived somebody that's from there, or somebody that has essentially lived there, and that's just a matter of taking a step back from your biases and your prejudices and just being an actual open human being, and like, instead of like just looking at this person and listening like with a fucking void and just basically having the filter of your biases, actually understand what they are saying, understand how this person has come out, how this person in front of you basically is living. And if they're no different from you, they're in the same spaces as you, if they're living just as much of a normal life, there's no difference in particular in terms of like how they act in society, especially now with the internet. God damn, it's so I feel everyone at this point is global, so having those assumptions like that is not beneficial. If anything, you're putting yourself more at a disadvantage if you're not open to talking to people cross-culturally than anything else, because we can all learn something from each other. And also it's a good way, I think, to have human compassion. That's the one thing that I really am appreciative of my international background, because I've always basically been exposed to an international background. I most people would feel uncomfortable probably being in the space that I am, which is constantly being barraged with different cultures. Yeah, no, personally, that's how I thrive. Like, if I'm not in a mixed environment, I feel weird personally.
No, it's interesting that you said that, because I moved, so I grew up, like I said, like in a pretty diverse like neighborhood. And then my family and I moved to West Virginia, and like it was honestly a culture shock, because this is gonna sound really funny coming from a white girl, but like there were so many white people and only white people. Like, but
Sami, welcome to America.
Wait, what was like, that one movie that's like, I see dead people? No, it's like
I
Sami.
see white people.
Like, I see white people.
So many people have said they're like, they're like, really, Samantha, like, come on now, like, seriously, like, you're white, bitch. And I'm just like, no, but you have to understand, like, I was actually the minority. Like, I was in a predominantly like I was in a magnet school for the first like 5 years of my
education. I don't know what the fuck that means.
4 or 5 years of my education. It's basically, it's kind of like a, how do I explain it? It's not a private school, but like they get special funding because of what they accomplish, basically, like with
You're
programs.
A special school.
Yeah, we're a special school, but we're not like a private school. But I wouldn't really call it like that. Like, we had like other things like going. Anyway, we just got like private funding basically, but it's not a private school, and anybody could. It was still a public school. But anyway, I digress. And so I grew up in like a really diverse, like area, and I feel like I kind of experienced more of that cultural difference than my brothers did, because they were 2 years younger than me. But like that matters a lot in school, like when you're that little, because a 7-year-old processes things way different than even a 6-year-old or a 5-year-old does.
Oh,
which
definitely.
is what my brothers were. So when they, because it's kindergarten or whatever, so I had already gone through 2 years of schooling by that point. So it's like I was so used to like all the different cultures and things of that nature, and like I could process things more, and because I was there longer, like I just,
you had more exposure.
And then exactly. So like when we moved to West Virginia, it was like a shock, honestly. Like it was just
that's crazy.
Yeah.
In America? Like, who would have thought?
Right. Like it's funny, but like back in that, like when I was, was like 13, 14 when we moved, like it was a shock to me, because it was just like, what the fuck? Like I didn't see a lot of like different people, and it was very like weird for me to not see so many weird, like different people, not weird, different people of culture. Like it was like I was really used to seeing POC, and I didn't see POC anymore. And it was very it was a little bit of a adjustment for me, because I would say things or like do things that like would reflect the fact that I had more of that. I don't want to say like more exposure, and people just like did not understand at all. And it was very like weird. And I think that's why like I have such a love for other cultures, is because I just grew up in so many of them. And it was really cool like to see everyone come together that way. And like we were just like little kids, and like we were best friends, like didn't have a care in the world. And so yeah. But
yeah, see, that's the thing. I will say growing up in environments like that is definitely a lot better. I feel like if there's a way for more people to kind of grow up with a little bit more of that kind of exposure, I feel like we'd have a lot less problems relating to each other. And like I'm not like, as I've been growing up basically doing like learning about the world and like seeing all of these basically having to understand, because I'm not gonna lie, I think, at least in my opinion, you don't start learning about people's differences until you're taught them. And
absolutely
this is fact.
And as I was growing up and understanding like the differences basically of how the world's history basically affects how I and the rest of my friends, regardless of whatever gender or color or culture they're coming from, basically how that history is going to affect how we walk on this planet. It was weird. It was like seriously weird, because to me looking at my friends, like these are just my friends. Like I don't care if you're like black or white or Asian or Hispanic or Latino or whatever the fuck you're coming from. Like it doesn't matter to me. What mattered to me was more like the actual character of the person in front of me. And then like, do we have each other's back? Because that's the point of being friends. Like,
I swear.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
and
No,
that's about
absolutely.
it.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes people, like, knowing that that makes a difference sometimes in people's lives of how they want to treat another human being with like just general respect. Like, it's weird to me. It really is. So I've had a few encounters with people because at one point I did leave college to take a gap year, and it got me to basically see maybe a little wider in this more like in the sense of like, people that aren't exactly used to being in the same environment as me, like that are more basically culturally niche, so they're very into their own culture. They haven't really moved much from their culture, and like having to interact with those kind of people, it wasn't bad, it wasn't awful. Like, they were still pretty nice, all things considered. There's advantages to that, also considering that I'm also a light-skinned woman, so I'm guessing that makes a difference. But like,
oh, that's right, colorism is a big thing.
Exactly.
And
every culture also deals with that differently.
I forget that you deal with that as well in the continent.
Yeah, it definitely is a privilege. So like a lot of things I might not be prone to, but I also have faced a little bit of discrimination, at least like in the States. While I was in New York, there was one moment where I realized, okay, so right now the fact that I'm outside with a hoodie that's mostly covering me, as I have my natural hair out, and I'm clearly not white. It made people act in a particular way to me, like in the location that I was in at the time. And like, I didn't really know how to really interact with that, because at the time I was needing help and my phone was about to die and all that. And I don't know, it made me just realize that is a possibility for a thing to happen.
Even like as a woman too, like I'm a woman, so like I can relate on that level, but I can't even imagine how it is for like women of color. Like, that's just a whole nother ball game. And like, it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. Like, that you felt that, and like how you had to even like go through that at all. And like, especially like Black men, like my husband is like I've spoke this is interracial, and like he does look like a Black man, but like he's been mistaken for Muslim, and people have like random check at the airport. Like, that's literally happened, and he's not even Muslim, but he's been targeted because of that. And it's like it's so like disheartening, like to watch and like to see that. And I think I don't say privileged in having like that knowledge, because I don't think that's just a basic human right. Like, treat people like a fucking human. Like, come on. Like, really? We're not, we're not like trying to like we're not fighting over resources like we had to 2000 years ago. We're like, we were fighting to like keep our lives, basically. Like, and slash, like, back then, like, we were on instinct a lot because there wasn't much to do. Now we have all this wonderful information, all these wonderful, amazing people from all these different cultures. Like, it's just really hard to like watch people like, and even like he'll like not even realize certain things like will be directed to him, and I'm like, he's like, you just get used to it. That literally broke my heart, and I'm just like, this is how like my husband lives. The person that I chose to marry, my best friend, is Xen. Like, we do this like, I hate that like you guys have to go through this. Like, it tears me up inside. And actually, it's shitty.
I will say this. That I know of, I haven't faced any discrimination.
Really?
Yeah.
Then so you're really lucky then.
Apparently.
Yeah, no, it doesn't have to happen to everybody. It doesn't have to happen to everybody.
That's true.
Like,
it doesn't.
It depends on how you move. Like, there's a lot of factors that go into it. You can be very unfortunate. I've met people that, like I said, like for me, that could have been a privileged thing considering that I'm light-skinned, or that could have just been normal. Most people these days, I wouldn't say, are completely on the let me be a bigot side of the spectrum, or at least they're trying not to be, But like, that was,
and even people are trying to learn more information.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the one instance where I was like, oh, this is that. Okay, got it. Fully aware. That's how that looks like. So that was the first time it hit me like that. But there are people that are definitely had it worse, and there are people that had it none whatsoever like Xen that have had the luck of never having to really feel that.
That's what it just feels weird to me because like people will talk about how they've been like all discriminated against and like it didn't happen.
Like you've never been profiled or anything?
Nah.
Oh shoot!
And I'm dark as fuck.
And that's like not to be rude, but Den is really like he's very dark. Like you would think
I
am the darkness.
Well, you're not. You know what's interesting? You're not the darkest person I've ever seen, though.
Oh, my friend, there are shades still after you.
Oh no, I'm sure.
I have a member of my family that is darker than you, my guy.
But listen, I want to have the title as the darkness. Please don't take this away from me.
As dark as your soul.
Yeah. As dark as the jokes that I make too.
Clearly. You gotta love dark humor every once in a while. Yeah. Life is too fucked up to not laugh at a little dark humor.
Just a little bit. No, but that's so interesting to me, Zen, because like I feel like you would be profiled the most, honestly.
I don't know. It might be the way I carry myself.
It probably is because you don't. I mean, maybe it's because like you carry yourself with like a very like whatever kind of like you're just very like
I'm very like I'm just like fuck it. I don't care.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like you're just like okay, whatevs. It's fine. Whatever.
Yeah, no, like you definitely don't see it if you like you only like I said, like I only noticed like that shit afterwards. Shit really just doesn't have to be like a thing. Like it can be a thing you have to live with, but at the same time it can just be like okay, moving on. So what's next on the agenda?
Right.
Anyway.
Right. Well, it's interesting because like so one of the first times I've experienced racism towards like me specifically was not to throw my husband's family under the bus, but like one of his relatives on his black side of the family was like, yeah, like she's not allowed in our house because she's white. And like so that has happened and like I was just like I wonder if like I was just like I don't particularly like that relative anyway. I feel like it doesn't bother me, but it bothers me on the fact that like people experience that, I guess is what I mean. And it's sad that like it's not just like a black versus white thing, it's like a lot of different cultures like are very just against another. And it's just very, to me, it's just like, wow, like, but they're just like another human. Like, how do you, and when BLM, like, I'm going to be honest here, like, it's not that I didn't support it. I just didn't understand it fully of like what BLM stood for. And it was just very like, I don't know.
Still stands.
Like, I don't know what, like, obviously, like, my husband is so important to me. And like, if this is important to him, like I'm going to support him. And like, even if I don't fully understand like what the actual movement is about. And like, obviously like I learn more and like you learn more with different movements too. And, it was just very much like, yes, of course I stand with BLM, like obviously 110%. But it was very like, I don't know what this is kind of thing. And I just think that, finding information on different cultures and just different like lifestyles, even like talking about LGBTQ plus, like I'm part of that, and learning like my history and my culture in that aspect is very like it's so diverse and so wonderful and so beautiful. And it's just like that's how we should see the world, and just accept people for who they are and not and what they show us as like people, instead of just like what their color of skin is or like what their culture is. It's like it should be embraced and not pushed away.
Yeah, no, for sure. There are definitely a few households that I believe there are definitely households like that would definitely prefer, they have a very strict view of what they believe their kin should be continuing the bloodline with, or continuing certain like I think it's just one of those things, albeit that sometimes a very strong decision to have placed certain characteristics or placed certain expectations on top of who you believe as the parent without properly consulting your child, that who you believe that like your child's partner should be. Because I personally do not believe that parents need to be involved in that conversation as much as some parents probably will. Like that's more me from my liberal mind. There's a lot of
like if
things
they
that I can't be
ask,
nosy about.
fair.
Yeah, like bro, if you need to know about my partner, all you need to know is that they take care of me in whichever way that person feels comfortable in sharing that information, and we love each other and we take care of each other, or whatever the arrangement that y'all have. You need to basically explain, I am okay with this, as long we're not condoning abuse or anything like that, but like I am okay with this, I am safe, and I am okay with this. Essentially, those are the two things I think that need to be fully established, and the parents should not be too nosy in terms of like
who you fucking
anything else past that. Exactly, because at the end of the day, like, this is who I'm fucking. Like, if they're doing something for me, clearly that you do not need to probably know every detail of. Like there are limits to everything.
Yeah.
Definitely,
there's levels to this.
There's levels to all
Definitely.
this shit,
families that
bro.
would say, "Oh, Zad, what have you gone through? You grumbling over there."
There's fucking levels to this. Is what I was like.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I've always, what's interesting is that I've always been really private about like not
who you
to put
fucking.
it I didn't want to put it back. Well, I've only ever fucked my husband, so it's like not a lot. No, but it's interesting because my parents actually tried to get me to fuck other people. Not while I was with my husband, but
Were
like
they like giving you a boost, or was it like, okay, yeah,
So
no,
my
we
mom,
want you to kind of go in
would
this
literally
direction?
set up fucking dates for me.
Oh my!
That makes me feel weird.
Yeah.
That makes me feel weird in so many ways.
You know what? I don't think that's weird. Moms, I'm not sure why, but moms have this thing of like, if they see a nice boy that they think is to the taste of their daughter, they're always gonna be introducing them. At least I know my mother tried to do it a few times. I was like, "Woman, let me pick."
Well,
She's like, "I'm giving you a suggestion." I'm like, "Noted." Not
Noted.
responding though.
No,
Not
but
responding
no.
though. Thank you.
No.
But
No, there was a conversation that happened at her, and it was a guy like that she used to work with. But anyway, no, like he was younger. Like
okay.
Yeah. He was like 2 years older than me, or 3 or something like that. He was around my age. But anyway, no, so they were having a conversation, and they were talking about this girl. I personally don't think she looks like me, but we were both told we both looked like Megan Trainor, the singer, and I think because of that, people like compared us after that. But I don't think we look alike at all. Like, not anything alike. And
yeah, I don't really see it.
Yeah.
I don't
So yeah, no, she definitely looks more like Megan Trainor than I do. They have the same like facial features and just like the same bone structure, whereas I do not have the same bone structure as either of the girls. Wonderful ladies. Well, the one my friend is, I was friends with other. I don't know Megan Trainor. But anyway,
you might.
I don't know, man.
Fuck around,
Anyway,
you might.
maybe I don't know, man. But no,
watch 23 and do some shit.
Hey, you never know. You never know. My mother's father was a sperm donor. But anyway,
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Wait, hold up.
Rewind.
You don't say that and be like, anyway.
No. He's a shitbag, basically. He was a deadbeat dad. Yeah. He was just a sperm donor. But we don't know. My mom could have half siblings from that side of the family that we don't know about, is what I'm saying. So she could be like a half cousin or something. I don't know. But I digress. But no, so this guy, they were like, I guess they were talking about us two. And the one guy goes, well, Sammy's cuter. And I'm like, and my mom was the one that told me that. And I'm like, she's like, so you have a date? And I was like,
bitch, the fuck?
No, I do not, ma'am. Like, what? And then my dad,
I have a who?
Yeah. And then what happened was, and then there was a time in high school, and my mom and dad both knew that this boy was coming over. He was my chemistry tutor. Yeah, like legitimately chemistry, guys, not just like, whatever.
The chemistry.
Right. But no, both of them was coming over. He came over several times, and they just like did it like door closed, nothing. Like, and then we both came out after I almost lost my virginity. Didn't happen though, obviously. My dad just like, oh hey, I almost said the guy's name. Oh hey, turned back around, kept watching TV, walked him out to his car, started making out again, and I'm pretty sure my dad saw us or heard us from my bedroom. So like
You were
and didn't say
loud?
anything.
I
We were doing stuff,
Oh,
not
okay.
anything bad. I mean,
Oh,
well, we
okay.
were making out like pretty hardcore and like
I was about to say, but
humping,
how does
but
that
like
make? Huh?
I'm trying to figure out
Huh? Wait, wait.
loud you'd have to be for a makeout to go past
Just to
the
go through
door. Y'all
windows
would
and
have
there
to
was
be
doors.
other
clawing at
things
each other.
involved. Okay, well, maybe
Wait, but
we weren't. Anyway, that's
you were
beside
huh? No, 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 no. You were huh?
listen, this is about culture, not about Sammy's
You were
ex
huh?
dating life.
You
No,
were
it's
what?
not.
One more
No,
time.
no,
One more time.
no.
Say it louder for
I
the
did
people in the
other
back.
stuff, bro. I did other
Please.
stuff, bro.
In the back.
Listen. No, we did other stuff. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
like nothing
Mm-hmm.
oral, nothing oral. Just some stuff might have come off. That's all I'm saying.
So now, huh?
I'm
Of
just
me.
I'm just gonna keep the assumption left at it was some very heavy petting. Where was
Oh
pet
God.
necessarily? I am not going to go into details. With I have a
I don't think
very
I would
active
classify that as
imagination. If I start going into this issue, it's gonna be stuck in my brain for a week. So
I don't think I could classify that as petting. That's just kind of
Okay, fingered me through my panties. Like, is that what y'all wanted?
Jesus.
yo, I did not know.
See, you said humping. That's what I was
We
trying to
did
get you
that
to say.
too.
That's
We
all
did
I was
that
trying to
too.
get you.
That's some
I didn't
very
need to know
heavy
any of
petting.
that shit. I just wanted you to say that you were humping again.
We were dry humping. Like, what do you expect from me?
That's all
I
I
was
needed
like,
you to say.
I was like
Jesus.
Okay, yo. I want to ask something to get back into the topic, but still kind of connects to this.
yeah, go ahead.
What is what would you say like American hookup culture like acceptable ages like for starting to start hooking up and being sexually active?
14.
Do you want my religious answer, my belief answer, my scientific answer, or my personal answer?
Oh god damn, you got 3?
I got 3.
Shit.
All 3.
Ooh, it's hard to pick. It's hard to pick. But I'm going off of like just a cultural stance. What do you guys would like? What would you guys say basically? Is that because I feel like with America kind of is influenced, especially by the whole
So
21
how
thing.
I was raised, obviously my parents didn't care if I was getting dick down. Apparently, at like 17. So I feel like for them, they were like about 16, 17 for them because they knew that my brothers were having sex. I think both my brothers were about 15 or 16 when they lost theirs. I was 20, almost 21 when I lost mine. And then I think my youngest brother was really young, and I think he was like 13 or 14, which I do not condone. But whatever. It's not my problem. But anyway, um personally though, so I'm going to say my personal answer though, I would probably say about 18. Just because I feel like you don't have to deal, and this is honestly just because of asshole high school boys cuz they're awful.
Mm-hmm.
Wait till
Yep.
college. Like, I don't care if you're like 17 or 18, like going, basically just wait until college because the boys in high school are shit. I'm just
Like,
saying.
Yeah, no, you get a very what is it? I want to say mixed batch, but it's probably not even a mixed batch. I'd say it's even lower than that because there's like what maybe like 3 people, like 3 guys that might know what the hell they're doing barely.
Well, here's my thing is that I feel like even if you are older and let's say like you're 21 or 22 when you first lose your virginity, right? Like as a guy or even like a girl, even if like you're a virgin at that point, you at least know more about sex and like how your body works and like you've probably masturbated, like whether your religious beliefs
copious
culturally
times.
or whatever, yeah, copious amounts of times. um like you know your body a little bit more, so I feel like it's just easier on
Inside and out.
both like okay,
I'm sorry.
I need you.
I'm sorry.
Honestly, like it's fine. I do this to you, so it's okay. No, but like I just feel like you know your body more, and you've at least, even if like you haven't watched porn, you at least know more about like how sex works, at least like biologically. So like I feel like people not only feel like you don't feel nervous, but you're more confident in who you are. So like in that sense, I just say like wait for college, and I think like 18 to 20 is like a good amount of age, like to just. I feel like you're more confident then, and just like you're more sure of yourself, and you're not just like it's not like a hormonal thing. Like it still is a hormonal thing, but like it's not like that. And I feel like a lot of peer pressure happens in high school, even if it's not, even if, because I know a lot of people like they're like, well, I just had sex because like I just feel like everyone's doing it, or because like I just felt like that's what I was supposed to do. And it's like, well, did you? And it's not that it's not consensual. It's just like it's just not,
Is that what you
that
actually
It's
wanted
perfect.
to
not
do at that
fun,
point?
No,
essentially.
yeah, right, exactly. And I think like if you just wait a couple more years, like you would have a better time than not. That's just me personally. Religious wise, obviously, wait until you're. I think at least like who you're gonna marry or marriage, like in between that, which is what I did. Like I knew I was gonna marry my husband when I met him. That's why I gave it up. And I was also 20, almost 21, so I was in that. But scientifically, actually, funnily enough, it's kind of the same answer. It's because your brain development, I would say about 21 to 22, because of brain development wise, you're almost done. You do know your body. Your body isn't like fluctuating a lot in the ways of just
Hit that perfect time period.
it's just hit that yeah, it's just that perfect time period to like get down and dirty basically. But yeah.
See,
Oh, I
But
wasn't
I
talking
think but
about it
I
in general.
know
I was talking about myself.
oh, well, okay.
Anyway.
Well, you're just outing yourself again.
Yeah. Might as
No, I
well.
know a lot of different cultures like it's very different for them. Like
yeah,
it's
I was about to say, like, I'd say, since I've basically been going, I'm pretty much exposed to basically being in Europe and in Africa a lot, besides the US. So between those three continents, it is definitely a lot different. I'd say the mentality that you're definitely saying, like, a lot of people feel like a bit more pressure. I think in America it's a lot more anxiety, basically,
mm,
to kind of express yourself sexually. Either there's a lot of pressure to do so, or there's a lot of pressure to not. So it's a lot of anxiety for people that are usually under 18 to like go through it. Whereas from the time at least that I've spent uh, in Europe, it's a little less like that. Like most European people that I've met in my life and interacted with, either in or outside of Europe, like they tend to be a little bit more open sexually. And what I mean by open sexually, it's more like they're very confident in the experience that they've had. Whether somebody says it's too much or too little, that's not the point. The point is like by the time them hit 18, it's like there's this sort of, I don't necessarily want to say maturity, but I will say, I don't want to say necessarily maturity, but it definitely is what it feels like. People just feel more in control probably of like their sex lives a little bit, just because they've thought about it. Most of the times
mm,
it's not necessarily like a pressure thing. People are experimenting with each other a little bit better, in the sense of like it's just more open conversation to it. Like it's not there.
mhm,
I feel like there isn't as much anxiety in those areas as
mhm.
you probably feel it in America. Uh,
No, I can, yeah, no, I've noticed because I've had European friends my almost my whole life, and like they definitely are more confident in like their bodies and like their sexuality for sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. And I think that's maybe that's why I was saying before, like maybe it might be um 21 kind of thing in America,
Mhm.
because like you're not in America. There's this whole thing of like, oh, like every country has their age limits for a lot, where they're saying, yeah, no, you're officially an adult. We can basically fuck you over like an adult too from this
Yeah,
point onwards. And like in the
yeah,
States it is 18. You can be tried and all of that as an adult for whatever happens at that point. But
Mm.
like
right.
even though you can be tried as an adult, it's technically not mentioned as like, oh yeah, no, I'm an adult. No, you're 18, bitch. Like
Yeah,
you ain't an adult. Like you can just go to jail like one. Like that's the difference.
right,
Damn.
right.
21 is like that expected age. Okay, yeah, no, you can do everything. You're fully like legal. You're fully an adult. That is like the age that I feel like a lot of Americans tend to be like, okay, I know I am an adult at this point. Like 21 onwards, I have become like fully an
It's
adult.
because I think it's because of like alcohol
Yeah,
too.
it's
That like
because of alcohol. I think it's because
definitely.
of the alcohol. The drinking culture definitely revolving around waiting until
Mhm.
21 definitely makes, I think, a difference. And in Europe, for most places, like at least in France, um
It's
as
like
far as I
16,
can
right?
tell. Yeah, no, like with parent like the parents have to allow it though. So it's not like you can just go
Okay.
drinking willy-nilly. Um
Gotcha.
with
Gotcha.
with parental supervision and permission, you can
Hmm.
technically start drinking by the age of like some countries 14, other countries 16.
Oh
I
wow.
don't agree
Okay.
with the whole 14, but like 16, I think it's definitely fine. You're in front of your parents. Like you can start with like a sip of wine. So it's not like you can start hitting liquor, but like, you know, you can you can enjoy maybe like
Right.
a glass of wine for dinner, like with your parents or
Right.
something. And it's like
Right.
fine. And I think that's just part of their whole keep shit open policy
Hmm.
in the sense of like,
Hmm.
if you're gonna go be a dumbass, let me at least kind of dumbass you are now in my house, kind of
Right.
dumbass you are like
Like if
outside
you're
of
gonna get sick or if you're gonna like, not like something, at least like you're home and I could either finish it off for you or take care of you,
that.
while you're being dumb or getting sick or whatever. No, I definitely like see a lot of I know in some Asian countries, I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong if anyone knows this, but I'm pretty sure in Japan you're like legally an adult and able to drink at 20, which I think is
Yeah,
really good because I think it's like a good in between. For me as a doctor, I feel as though like you shouldn't really be doing any type of substance until you're about 24 to 25. And the only reason, and this is purely just biological, I honestly, in my personal beliefs, I think like 2021 is like a good, like, you're an adult, you're legal, everything, like, but everything. Like, I don't think you should be able to go into the military until you're 2021. I don't think an
mhm.
18-year-old should ever have to go into the military. Like, my husband did, and like, I don't know. It's just, anyway, I have my own, we'll talk about that in a different podcast about military life. But, no, I think that, 2021 is like a good baseline for everything. But I do think that like with parental permission of just like having like a sip of wine or two like at dinner is like perfectly fine.
Yeah,
And wine isn't like a hard liquor that people will just like drink to get drunk. It's more of like a thing that's savored.
yeah.
And
Oh,
I
you mean they
definitely
don't
like
drink
agree
wine
with
like moonshine? That's crazy.
definitely. Moonshine is from the South, and let me tell you, homemade moonshine is not something that you fuck around with, especially in the South. But
See,
no,
I
like,
would never want to touch moonshine just because this
I've
is
done
how
it.
most people discuss moonshine. I swear. Like the idea of moonshine to me is just completely scary because it's like it sounds like you take one sip and you might black out.
No, no, no,
No,
no.
it doesn't work
It's
like
not.
that.
It
But
doesn't work like that. But like homemade moonshine, like real moonshine from the Appalachian Mountains in the South, be careful. But if you get like moonshine from like if you buy from a store, it's actually really watered down. I'm not gonna lie to you, because I've had homemade moonshine.
and
Shit
I've had
is
store bought moonshine. Still tastes like fucking paint thinner, but it's all
it's
right.
it's a definitely strong
Oh
taste.
my
Homemade
gosh.
moonshine is stronger, but it actually tastes a lot better. Then I'm gonna make you
Are
some
you
moonshine.
saying it tastes like ethanol?
Yes,
I
tastes like
mean,
Oh
yeah,
gas.
a
my
little bit,
oh my
but
god.
homemade moonshine is tastes a lot better. I will
So it
say that.
doesn't taste like gas.
No, it's really good actually. Like
I don't.
really good.
That
I'm gonna
makes
make
it
some
sound
for
like
you.
moonshine is dangerous.
It Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Again,
part of my culture though. It's just how it is.
see, like every culture kind of also has their basic like drink of choice. I would
True.
definitely not say Angolans be chugging on moonshine like for some reason like no no no. Most I'd say culturally it's more acceptable to be, at least for me in terms of like Angolans, you definitely might be having some wine, definitely might be having some beer, definitely might be having some champagne. Once you start
Oh.
going into the harder stuff, you're probably older and like maybe
Oh.
collecting it usually, which is why you
Oh.
have maybe those things like you're definitely savoring that shit. But like it is not expect you're not expected to be hitting that bottle like that early
Mm.
anyways. But some
It's
people
not
go.
like it's not like here where like hard liquor is like what we drink to get drunk or whatever.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying like to get drunk, just like as a that people like generally will like just enjoy, like just casual
That's
drinking, very nice, like calm. I think every country just has their own drink that is culturally theirs, that they drink a lot
right.
of, like that is specific to either an event or maybe
Mhm.
daily life, or just like chilling, like depending. I think it's just depending on the lifestyle that each country expects their citizens to basically
Mhm.
have or
Mhm.
present. That's like more of a culture thing. So for example, I know for Brazilians, caipirinha is basically a Brazilian drink, and if you're drinking caipirinha, you can drink caipirinha with like friends, families. Is a very cookout, chilling out, sit down and have
Yeah,
fun in the backyard with some friends kind of situation. So it's very
it's like
kind of like
how
it
beer
it,
is
it
here.
uses some hard liquor,
Mhm.
but it's a very casual drink because it's only like
That's
three ingredients essentially. It's like lime,
oh,
a white hard liquor, and sugar, and that's it. Like you only need four of those things, and you only need those four things, and you can make yourself a very chill cup. Very easy breezy cup. It tastes very nice because of all the sugar as well. So
Hmm.
yeah,
interesting,
it just works.
interesting. That's so interesting to me. I feel like a lot of people come together with like I feel like a lot of culture that we have is food, booze, and like holidays. I know that like we kind of cover and sex. Like I know it's like weird to say, but like I feel like a lot of cultures like think of those things very differently, and it's just interesting to like hear, especially from the continent and the European side of it. Of because my grandmother's first gen Italian, so
Mm-hmm.
like wine at dinner was like a very normal thing, or espresso like after dinner, after like with your dessert. That's like a thing too. And I feel like a lot of people don't keep to that. Like a lot, like I know so many people like when they think of coffee, they think of like Starbucks. They don't think of like espresso or like an actual like cup of like black coffee like with your very rich dessert. Like that's just a thing.
Yeah,
Um,
no, that is definitely a very Italian thing. You
yeah,
go like lunchtime, you've had your nice big ass like amount of food. Like for example, okay, that's Italy, but like right now, I'm in France, and here in France, there's this thing basically like you don't rush lunch. So like
oh
I'm very used.
really?
What
Yeah,
do you
no,
mean by don't rush
you do
lunch?
not rush
Wait,
lunch. So
question. Correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't like the word brunch come from France? Like, didn't they kind of like create that sort of like culture of having like that long lunch? That's what that's like from, right? It's from
I'm
France,
not
if I'm not
I'm not sure
mistaken.
if that's specifically like if brunch specifically came from France, but like the idea of a long sit down, settled and calm lunch, that is definitely a French thing to do. Like
Interesting.
when lunch, for example, most times, like at least like in my area, lunch is from 1 to 2 p.m. As soon as that clock hits one, like even like 5 minutes slightly before, you will not see anybody where they're supposed to be. You know why? Because everyone's sitting down at a restaurant, at a cafe, outside near the Seine, and basically eating lunch. And it's not like, oh yeah, no, let me eat lunch really quickly, and then like for 30 minutes, and then like have the rest of my 30 minutes left to do whatever the fuck else I need for my break time, because like you're rushing, which is what
Right.
I was used to from being in an international school and just also like American culture wise. But
Right.
here I've realized that like no, you sit down, chill the fuck out, and just enjoy your food. Take your time to actually like appreciate your food,
Mm.
sit down. Usually you'll also have like maybe one or two friends with you. You'll be eating with them, very casual like conversation. Like take your time, bro. Like it's your food. Take your time. To them it's
Interesting.
healthy to do that.
No, I mean, like, that is a good way of, like, eating food, like, it should be enjoyed and savored and, respected, honestly, because it's, like, nourishing your body, and
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of your from what I've known I don't know about other cultures, so, like, but I know a lot from what I've seen, like, of, like, my own family of from Europe, like, like, you savor food, like, you don't just, like, wolf it down, like, it's very much like a family meal or, like, a friend like, if you go out for, like, lunch or dinner or breakfast even, like, it's, like, a very, like it's like an event almost, like, you,
Yeah,
like,
it's a very
savor and,
communal
like
thing.
Hmm.
it's yes, that's exactly communal, it's very communal and, like, just very it's a togetherness, I feel like, and I feel like, here we don't have that type of thing. I feel like a lot of people try to bring that back, like with like dinner, like having like dinner be a thing, but it's
Mm-hmm.
definitely it's really interesting to like hear that from like your side of like being there, especially because you're not actually French, but you've lived there for a while, and like you just the things that you've noticed. I also was gonna ask about, oh shoot, it was about France specifically. I don't remember though. It was something about food. Forgot I said anything. But yeah. Um yeah, I it's just really interesting to me because I feel like the culture differences between even just like countries in Europe or especially like in Asia, like they're all, I feel like in America, like even though we do have states, like we do have southern culture and like there is northern culture and even there's like northeast culture, like that's definitely a thing, but I still feel like there's definitely like a togetherness of like American culture, and I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but there is like we are America type of thing, but I feel like over there it's very just like it's very much different. Like if you're France, or excuse me, if you're French and you're
If you're
from France, like
France,
sorry,
if
if
you're
you're
the
in
whole
France,
country of France, I'm
if
sorry.
you're French and are from France, like you definitely, I feel like admit that and are very proud of that fact. And I think that's and you definitely like, identify with your culture more than I think people here do, because I feel like culture's so mixed here and has been mixed for so long that like people get too uppity about certain things. And yeah, I think it's
And
just
I
really nice
think,
that like they really like they keep a lot of those traditions without kind of being pushy almost, I feel like, because I think some traditions here are very pushy.
yeah, no, I think it's just because it's the whole thing of what is it? I would say that's more of a assimilation situation than necessarily a whole uh cultural situation, because like yeah, like if you move to America and like if you're an immigrant and you're living in America and you're trying to like be part of the American culture, everything is pretty mixed. You can pretty much the thing about American culture is you can make American culture however the fuck you want it to be, you know? There's like
Mhm.
space to basically move shit around and kind of follow
Mhm.
things as you kind of see fit according to like what you have available to you essentially. But with a lot of places, since it's more, they don't have to necessarily like, there's major cities everywhere that have a certain amount of like diversity and all of that, but like there are definitely things that are very prone from that culture that like you just do, like the whole thing with eating and like things being communal, like in Angola at least, like my home country, like uh
Mhm.
if it's a normal work week, then you're probably not going to be sitting down and having a whole ass meal like that for lunchtime, like the way the French
Right.
people do. That's probably going to be at night for dinner. But
Yeah.
that moment of like sitting down and being communal and having like a like with
Mhm.
people is definitely going to be something for like the weekend. Like there's specific dishes that you're going to have either Sunday or Saturday. It's like a mandatory thing. Like there's this like
Oh
it's this thing
wow.
called some people call it pap, other people call it fufu, like the Nigerians call it fufus, other African countries call it pap. I think in South Africa they call it pap. In Angola, because of the Portuguese, they call it funge. And
Mm.
we already know, hey, Saturday you're eating funge. Like you are sitting down, whoever's coming over to the house, like everyone in the house, sit down and have this meal around lunch, and we're gonna like just chill and calm down and just like all be around the table, have good conversation, debate about everything, like experience each other, like the things we can't do during the week, it all goes down basically on that Saturday or that
Mhm.
Sunday, depending on your household. But like at some point in the weekend, everyone's just sitting down in the household and we're all having a meal and talking about what events basically transpired during like the week. So
It's like a
I
family
think,
catch up. That's so
yeah,
cute. I
essentially.
love that. I love that so much.
Yeah, essentially it's a family catch up where I feel like that kind of family catch up would be more of a, like it'd have to be maybe like the only American equivalent I can think of, like what, the 4th of July, like the whole barbecue situation maybe that you'd have, like the whole cookout
It
and like actually sitting
depends.
down stuff like.
It's interesting because depending on where you're from, so I know in Southern culture specifically, and for my father's family because he's Italian, and I think it's because a lot of Italians are Catholic, so they do either a late Saturday night dinner or it's a Sunday dinner, and like it's like a big event. So like we do that for my specific family, but I know that's not the norm here at least. Um, I think people in America do make like dinner a thing, but it's not like an event like that. Like it's just like okay, we're having family dinner. Like this is like whatever type of thing. Like it's not what that is, I don't think at all. But no, like for my family, we did Sunday dinner. And I know for a lot of people um who who are Catholic, I know they do, Saturday night dinner. Um, but I think it's just like it's more because it's a cultural religious aspect to it, because that's what you did. Like you have Sunday and you'd have like your luncheonette like after Sunday school or after service or whatever. And in the South, like everyone goes to church. Even if you don't want to, you still go to church because that's like your community basically. Like how a
Mhm.
lot of like town hall meetings are still like a thing like in the Northeast. It's kind of like that in the South, but it's on Sundays and it's because of church. And like that's just your community, that's what you do, that's what you live and breathe by. Like that's just how it is. And my mom kind of instilled that in us, especially me because again, like I'm the oldest, so like I got more of that experience when we were really young. So, and I just basically I kind of grew up in church a little bit, but kind of not. Like my parents let me decide. But a lot of families in the South, like they're not like that. Like you have to go to church every Sunday, you have to put on your Sunday best, like it's a thing. And if you don't, like you're ostracized, unless like
We
like you're on vacation or whatever. Yeah, but no, it's like a thing there. Like it really is. And it's like it's interesting to me because like I love going to church personally, but like I'm not going to force anybody to go to church with me or push it down someone else's throat because or ostracize them because they didn't go to church on Sunday. I think that's wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, but
Mhm.
there are people like in the South that will do that, and like it's a big thing for them, and like it's and then like the Sunday luncheon or the Sunday dinner, after evening church or before evening church or whatever, it's like a whole event. And yeah, but for like the 4th of July, yeah, that's definitely more like an American everyone kind of barbecues. It's like a sin if you don't, basically. It's like
That's a
we
sin. Wow.
but no, yeah, it's but
I think when it comes to religious aspects, at least like okay, so I will say at least in my family, uh most of us are pretty much Christian. If you're not Christian, you're probably just not Christian and that's it. But like
mm,
you can be from different denominations. Like there's a certain freedom of like, okay, um most of the time the religion is coming from the matriarch uh
mhm,
of the house. So they're usually the ones, at least for me and for a lot of people actually that I know, it's mostly because of like the grandparents that continue um the whole going to church tradition and
mhm,
stuff like that, and it's usually coming from the matriarch of like, okay, let's sit down, let's have our time with God and like pray and all of that, and that's great. But like there is also a certain liberation, like at some point, like if it's a household tradition, then
mhm,
yeah, you keep doing it, but at some point once you start getting more independence, you also have to start picking up like, oh, am I going to continue this or not? There is essentially that freedom. Nothing can impede your child basically from like
mhm,
not doing this. Some households are very strict about it, so you're probably gonna have to go. But if you decided not to keep going and you made it a thing like, okay, yeah, no, this, then it's fine. Then it's fine, mostly because like I think we have that whole backing of like family is family no matter what. So it can be it's a very good thing. Sometimes it might be detrimental depending on how your family dynamics is. Hopefully not toxic, but like at least for my country, like family is a very big thing. Like your
mhm,
social, like I said, very big, usually very big families, and also like there's certain friends that people just have for lifetimes that essentially like you just get your kids calling them auntie or uncle, like even though they're not like blood related or anything like that, but you just know them for that long. You basically treat them as if they were like the siblings to your parents essentially, and they just kind of become part of the fold in that sense. And like it's a whole thing of like you create your family essentially expands. It's not only just your closest relatives. So like at any
mhm.
point it can just be
makes sense.
um yeah,
That makes
it's
yeah,
very about like your family is about basically about the people you also create besides also your blood relatives. It's basically the people you appreciate and you cherish and you continue to let into um your life. It's the community basically that you build around you, like that, you know, these are the people that you got them, they got you. And like most of like cultural interactions when it comes to that familiarities and how people decide to speak to each other and stuff, very dependent on, do I see you as family or not? Because if I do, I'm definitely treating you in this particular way. If I don't, I'm not going to speak to you in a particular set of terms. Like that's why, like, when we're talking about like the word family in Portuguese, like familia, like familiaridade, like familiarity, all that, it's definitely relative to that. It's definitely like, do I treat you as if you were another one of my family members? And that makes a complete fucking difference with how people interact with each other, just in general, like back home.
Mm-hmm. That's really interesting. I love that, like, your culture is so family orientated. That really, like, I love that. I love family because that's how I grew up. And I feel like I'm really lucky in that aspect of, like, I feel like a lot of Americans, and I don't know if this is just like my observation of, or whatnot, but like, I feel like a lot of people like fake being a good family, and the divorce rates are just through the roof here. So it's just like, I don't know. Family just doesn't mean crap, I feel like, in America anymore. And I'm not saying that like if you have divorced parents, like you don't have a family. No, 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 no. But like the family unit as like a whole, it's just, I feel as though a lot of people don't understand that anymore. And it's really sad because it's just like that's how I grew up, and I feel like not a lot of people, like, I know I'm lucky to have the experiences I had, like with my family still being together, like my parents are still together, and like that's like so rare these days. And to actually like have a good relationship with my parents and like and my siblings, like to be as close as we are, like we would do literally anything for each other. But I know for other people it's just like they don't hate their family, but it's just like they're definitely like not as close as my me and my family are, like not in the slightest. But what about you, Zen? Like, how was your family dynamic like growing up, or like how do you feel like your culture? Because you're from a different part of the country than I am. You're from the Midwest, Upper Midwest. So like,
I've
how was
been
like?
in the Midwest all my fucking life.
You can tell how much he hates it with that tone of voice.
Honestly,
Fuck this goddamn corn, bruh. Tired of it.
is there
Is
that
that
much corn in the Midwest? I thought that was just a
Yes.
goddamn stereotype.
No. It's
no, it's a
real.
thing. No, it's a thing. My husband's from
It's
Indiana,
a
and
real fucking
there's a lot
thing.
of corn there.
There's
There's
a
a lot of
lot of
corn.
fucking corn.
Jeez.
Just corn.
Just corn.
Just corn.
Just corn.
Is that your culture? Corn.
All flat. Just corn. God.
Gosh, with that much corn, y'all should be having a lot of popcorn.
You would think.
Nah, it's just raw corn.
It's actually known for its popcorn.
What's known for their popcorn?
Like Indiana, like has like specific.
Indiana,
brands
baby.
there.
Illinois
Yeah,
sucks
Indiana.
fucking dick.
You guys have Chicago. No, thank you.
Oh, Chicago included. Fuck Chicago.
Bro, I heard Chicago be cold as fuck.
It's cold, and it steals all of Illinois' money.
It's scared of freezing, like turning into an apple popsicle, bro.
It's like murder. Isn't it the murder capital?
St. Louis
is it the murder capital?
Oh, St. Louis is. Okay. I know.
The one I'm actually close to. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Great time.
Wow, your whole.
I'm in a bad way. Yeah. Yeah, I'm in a bad way.
Murder.
I'm glad you realized.
I just realized that too. I was
I'm
like,
glad you realized why I hate it here.
Yeah. You know what's interesting is like you never would have thought Illinois would have both Chicago and St. Louis, but they do.
But they're right.
That's all in one state.
No, St. Louis is in Missouri.
Well, I mean, no, it's in Missouri, but like
St. Louis
it's all
is
like right
30
there.
minutes away from me.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know y'all's geography like that. I'm sorry. Like to me, the only parts that matter, the parts that I've touched, which is essentially New York, Florida one time, and California. Like that is and Texas.
Oh,
no. There is a huge Angolan community in Texas, bro. Like, yo.
I might go to Austin or Houston. Those would be okay. Maybe. I honestly would rather go to New Orleans.
Oh yeah, fuck family shit. My brain's fried. Sorry.
No, you're fine. No worries. You were complaining about where you're from. That's normal.
Yeah, go off, go off.
It's just oh.
Don't make corn in front of Zen apparently.
Why would you make corn?
I would pop some
Ever.
popcorn in front of y'all.
Why?
Popcorn? Oh, I love popcorn.
Just to see you twitch for a second off of the fact that
Shut the fucking nervous tick.
There's corn on the cob. There's crawfish and corn.
Oh gosh. Okay, so Zen's family culture, corn.
Yeah, corn.
My family culture is corn. I was made from corn. I was the darkest corn out of the bunch. I am corn. In all ways, including physical, I am corn.
I am Yo. Now you got an excuse to be corny, bro.
Oh.
Nice.
This has been the Domino Effect. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh gosh.
But family.
But family. Shit.
You're 45% Nigerian, bro. So has that never like
it's never actually popped up ever, because I'm one of the only people. It's like me and my sister are the only people that have done their fucking like spit test to figure out where I'm from.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about this. You actually take a lot of pride in being from Nigeria, though.
Yeah, cause I'm black as fuck.
Oh no!
I laugh at that, but like it's just like I'm proud that you're
like let me look.
I don't know how to say this without sounding like almost racist. I'm so sorry. You're just like you're proud of being black. Like good job. Like,
yeah.
Like I don't feel like I should say that because I'm white. I don't know. But like I'm happy that you
literally 85% black.
What's the other 15? Is it native?
White.
Oh really?
14.4% European.
Yo,
you were probably. I bet your ancestors were slaves and probably were mixed.
Possibly makes sense.
I mean, if you're from Nigeria, it would make sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, not to be like that bitch, but like.
Not to be that bitch.
You're just speaking historically, like.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's just historic facts.
The world is like I said, history has some shit. World history really do be doing some shit to people's minds. Like,
well, the thing is too, like it's not like obviously like us. I say us like I'm the one that freaking did it. The colonizers brought over the slaves, but like
colonizers. That's exactly the word.
Colonizers.
But like
I remember saying that
what's
word.
interesting. What's interesting though is that a lot of people would be like, "Well, your family," because I'm from the South, and they would think like if they looked at me because blonde hair, blue green eyes, whatever. Actually, y'all, I'm mostly immigrant. Like the last 100 years have been when my family's been here. Like I haven't been here in this country that long.
See, you can't just be calling anybody colonizer.
Yeah,
because like immigration is a very big thing that everyone's like either a good amount of people are like first or second generation. I think at this point, maybe third. A good amount of people.
Yeah, a good amount of people are. No, what's actually, what also could be it, Zen, is that a lot of Irish people actually, because they were treated not as badly as Black people, not at all, but they were treated really shitty. And when they came over to the US, so you could be part Irish or Scottish because of they actually intermingled a lot with
5.8% British and Irish.
Boom, I told you, because they actually
see that one ginger hair on your arm that one time. You know why.
I've got absolutely none of those shits. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
I've actually met a black ginger before.
I don't know how to feel about that.
That is beautiful, bro.
No, he was very attractive. Like, yeah.
That is beautiful.
Anyway, what I was saying before was no, a lot of Irish people and Scottish people when they came over here, they saw that like a community like with Black people, because they were treated just as bad, like not just as badly, but they were treated like shitty basically as well. And they just like, hey, let's vibe, man. And like a lot of way to
connect.
No, but like a lot of Black people actually have a lot of Irish or Scottish because of that. because they have ancestors that they just, using modernized terms, they vibed because they were treated shit. So yeah, it's really, and a lot of them actually worked on the railroads from the east. So like a lot of Chinese, Japanese, and Pacific Islanders, from the west, but a lot of the eastern railroads were built by blacks and Irish people and Scottish people. I think a few German as well, but mostly those, and they got the short end of the stick. But then they ended up intermingling, and it became a really cool like cultural divergence, basically, and like a really cool intermingling. And you'll find like a lot of people that are black actually have that type of heritage background, which I think is really cool. Like,
that is
not
definitely
the fact they were treated like shit, but that they,
no, of course not.
Solace in each other. Don't treat people like shit, y'all. Like, that's just mean. But anyway,
we're like, let's have this thing called human decency.
Right.
This human
don't like someone, but like maybe don't make them a slave. Just
you would think that that's like just an easy one. Just
right. But it's interesting though, because slave culture, and not even just like Africa versus America, like the colonizer type thing, but like slave culture as a whole has been around longer than non-slave culture. And I think people forget
it was part of society back then.
It was part of society, yeah. Indentured servitude was like, if you were a peasant, that was like almost a fate worse than death at times, because you were treated terribly. Like, it wasn't just like this, like if you were anything less than like a noble, you were shit. Like, you were you were nothing, absolutely nothing. And it's interesting because I always joke that I'm the two assholes of Europe. I'm Italian, like I'm a Roman Italian, and I'm Scandinavian. So Vikings / Anglo-Saxons. So it's such a combination. Like, I'm basically what the two worst parts of Europe were at one point.
You just got a lot of aggression in you. You got a lot of historical aggression in you.
I do. It's probably why I'm so aggressive, because I had to fight bears back in the day. We kept them as pets. No, actually, the Vikings, the Anglo-Saxons, actually kept brown bears as pets, though.
I believe that. I fully do. I feel like if I ever had to see an example of a Viking, just in a wax figure, I would be completely terrified, yet also intrigued, because I'm a curious little thing. So like, I always want to see it. I just would be slightly too aware of the fact that is a barbarian. That's about a few feet away from.
Yeah. Well, and they were also one of the more attractive men, because they actually took baths and would take really good care of their teeth and their bodies. So a lot of women were extremely attracted to them. Like, they did rape and pillage. Everyone did back then, but a lot of women actually went willingly, because the men were so, like, women had rights and men treated them honestly with respect. So I think, like, if I had to choose, I'd either be an Anglo-Saxon, which that's actually the proper term. Vikings were not coined until this past century. Also, or like I would be a Spartan, or maybe a higher up, married wife of like a Roman senator. But yeah,
I was about to say, I don't know if you'd want to be a Spartan.
Women there were treated very well, though. Like, in history,
did a lot.
Yeah. Or an Amazonian.
Oh, no, I'm thinking about Spartan men.
Yeah, they were mama's boys.
Yeah.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
What are you saying?
Like, if they grew up, like, not peak physical shape. Like, if they had fucking asthma.
Ooh, okay. Basically, the Spartans that were... It's the same thing. Like, basically, if you're not coming from money back then, you definitely are not having the most pleasant of lives.
Also, yeah, that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you were any type of deformed, you were kind of fucked. Except for apparently one of Ragnar's children.
Who?
Igor. Was it Ivan or Igor?
Who?
Ragnar? That's how you're supposed to pronounce
it. Saying the word.
Ragnar
like
is the word.
Saying the person like I know who the fuck it is.
Okay, well, you want me to explain?
Yes, please.
Okay, so Ragnar was a famous Anglo-Saxon king who conquered most of Europe, Upper Europe.
Okay.
One of his children had deformed legs, but he actually ended up almost being even more famous than his father.
Oh, wow.
Yep. The more you know.
A lot of the more.
And that's my ancestry. I mean, I don't know if I'm actually like related to Ragnar, but that culture is my ancestry.
Looking at world history is pretty interesting because you definitely get to see how different cultures have essentially evolved in particular ways that have led to like how people actually continue to live their lives now. And just wild in general. Like when you look back at some of the things that like, for example, this thing that you were saying with the Anglo-Saxons, like I didn't know that until that they actually had good hygiene in a time where like good hygiene, like modern good hygiene,
not a thing,
anomaly. Like,
and they did like their hair and had like think of like, so Xen, you're a gamer. Think of like, you played Skyrim, right?
Multiple times.
So the Norsemen, that's also what they were called as well. Those are the Vikings of what would be today.
The Nords?
Like yeah. Those are what Anglo-Saxons, like what Vikings, as we assume of Vikings, like are. Like they literally acted like that. They didn't have horns on their helmets or whatever, because I don't know if that's in the game or not. I can't honestly remember. It's been a while, but yeah, like that. They were very like communal, and like the only thing that I can say is they did do human sacrifice. Most of the times those were slaves, which is, and they did have a lot of brutal punishments, or they had a very violent type of culture. But I mean, women had rights, and like they were very just had a lot of modern now ideas, and women could like be a jarl and could have like their own territory if they wished, or could be like a queen and just be a queen. Like they wouldn't have to have a husband. So that was very
wow.
Yeah. Women were, and the other thing is too that I find about going back to like my other culture, which is, Italy and Spartans and things of that nature. Women were, if you died in childbirth, like you were honored as a warrior. And I think that's really cool that like,
dang,
yeah.
That is heavy, but that sounds pretty like.
But it's like the respect of that, like,
yeah, it's respectful.
It's the respect of it, yeah, that I find is just very fascinating, because of how like people didn't do that back then. Like women were nothing, like nothing. So it's cool, like even though like yes, my culture like on both sides, like we're shitty fucking people at times, but like they really did, the fact that like I come from two pretty like respectful of women cultures, even like in ancient times, is pretty cool. But yeah, at least in certain parts of it.
I actually learned recently of this one African like fable. It's basically about it's Angolan like oriented, where it's basically two brothers, and both one of them is supposed to be specifically king, but it's mostly because he's king because he's basically going after, he's trying to save his brother. So it's like a whole journey situation, and they're basically, it's kind of like they're thunder gods or something like that. Like I can't remember the story like completely 100%, but it's almost like, think about it more like African Thor. But instead of Loki being a dickhead, it's actually Thor trying to save Loki's ass without Loki being a dickhead.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of like that. It's like, it's very honorable. It was a whole warrior kind of situations, like fended off a village, stuff like that. Like just it's pretty nice. It's a very short story, and I'm mostly looking to see if there's more information on it. But it's basically just following that. They leave home, they go off, and they like interact with a bunch of the elements and stuff like that. And the more that one of the one sibling that's like looking for the other one starts like improving and like basically becoming more of the born warrior that he kind of already was, and keeps excelling, he basically just becomes seriously overpowered. Like but he's still very humble and all that. Nothing deviates him from his like basically path. It's just the whole I have the honor of a warrior. I'm gonna continue going for my task, and I'm gonna make sure like my family is safe, essentially. Which I can see how that kind of still reflects today with the whole family thing. Family really just be a thing for all the way since the damn beginning.
I was gonna say, like, you guys really value like the family, which is wonderful. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, no, it's definitely about like take care of your own. People be kinfolk, but they don't have to be full on kinfolk. Like I feel like a lot of the at least Angolan folklore or Angolan stories tend to center around like people can be individuals, but like your community is important, bro. Don't ever forget it.
That's so like amazing. That's amazing. And I think that's so honorable to like have. At least like for me, like also grew up like in a very like family oriented home, and I find a lot of comfort in other cultures who are also like that. So it's just like I just feel like I'd be right at home, like, yeah, like we may look different, but like we both value the same types of things, you know? And even like if we didn't, like definitely just like be more open to being like, hey, like, you know, whatever culture like you're looking into, or you know, just appreciating. But I think we should end it here. I feel like that's a good note to end it on. Xen, Roonie, do you guys have anything else like to say?
Roonie, do you have anything to say? Anything to plug?
I think the only thing okay. One, I think if we can all learn a little bit of each other's culture and apply it to our daily lives, the best ways basically, it will basically be the best way to kind of learn to be a human being, not only in your town or home country, but also globally. And two, Xen's corny. Yeah.
That's gonna be a thing now.
Oh, my brain's too fucking fried for this.
A stalk of corn for Halloween next year.
You got your 2021 outfit, my guy.
Done.
Haha, you think I'm actually gonna wear a fucking corn suit?
Oh boy, I'm gonna keep you to this promise that I'm making you make.
I never made a promise.
I'm making you make this promise right now, right here. I am making Xen promise he will be a shuck of corn for 2021.
Funny woman there. That's crazy.
Be prepared to get that costume in your mail, man. And then they'll be saying, from your family member, Roonie, right there.
I'll be prepared to burn a costume when I get it.
Prepared to burn a costume.
I'm sorry, ozone layer, blame Roonie.
Bro. Oh my, okay, pause real quick. Have y'all seen the freaking, okay, so I saw it on TikTok, but it's like, it's the, no, okay, so we know, like, she was like, so y'all know about, like, the Tyrannosaurus Rex costume, right? She fucking found, you know, like, the animals, like, the dog that, like, clowns make? Like, the animal, the balloon animals? She found a costume that's a fucking dog balloon animal.
That exists?
That exists, bro. Oh. I want it so bad, and I want to be it so much next year. I'm just gonna go around and just like throw candy.
I am so not sure if you love to see it or you hate to see it. My mind is conflicted.
Okay, anyway. Xen, do you have anything else that you wish to say other than you are corn?
Fucking hate corn.
The corn. The blackest kernel of the corn.
I want to go to bed. It's 4:58 in the morning. I'm going to sleep.
Wait, we have to hold on, sir. Roonie, song of the day, ma'am.
Song of the day. Ooh.
Yes.
Okay, I've had this one on repeat. Come Over by Jorja Smith. Love her.
Perfect.
Awesome. I fucking love Jorja Smith.
Jorja Smith and Popcaan. Beautiful song.
Ooh.
All right. Well, that concludes this episode of the Domino Effect. Thank you, Roonie, so much for coming on. Like, this was one of my favorite episodes, honestly. To like talk about with culture and everything. Like, loved the insight. Definitely come back for like a part 2, maybe, or just maybe like we could do like a holiday edition or something.
Ooh, that would be nice.
Yeah. I literally have nothing to say. Like, I'm super like pumped that you were here, and thank you so much again for joining us. But yeah, bye guys. Like, we'll see ya next Friday.
Yeah.
Have a good week.
I'm gonna go pass out for like 6 hours.
Corny.
Fucking, I hate it here.
But yeah, we'll see you guys next Friday. Bye guys.
Peace.
Good night.